us for a couple of hours on a beautiful day.
Welcome back to Ripe Avocados. I'm Ben. This is Sean. We're going to talk about a new movie today. It's probably the hottest movie in the streets right now, Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld and some other names as well. But I'll hand it over to Sean here. He's going to summarize it, and then we're going to score it.
Yeah, so basically the movie is just about culturally appropriating vampires trying to take over a black-owned business, really. But basically it follows the main character, Samuel, aka Preacher Boy, which is a really tough nickname. But he's got to be one of the greatest blues singers I've ever heard on the big screen. And Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan, the Smokestack Twins, open up this new juke bar, I think they were calling it. And basically,
juke joint.
Juke joint, yes, correct. Yeah. And it's basically for people to come there and enjoy some nice blues music and just drink and have a good time. And these goddamn white vampires just want to ruin it all. And they basically try to turn some of the people into vampires, and they start with Haley Steinfeld, and it all goes downhill from there. I mean, it's just an all-out brawl between these vampires and whoever's left of the living folk in the juke joint. And unfortunately, one of the Michael B. Jordans perishes, but the other gets to live the rest of his life as the rapper Stack when he shows up later.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of the ending was kind of ambiguous too. I don't know if you want to talk about it when the living Michael B. Jordan sort of sees his ghost or the ghost of his lover who becomes a vampire in the later stages of the movie.
I'm sorry, what?
Do you remember the very last scene one of the last scenes after he mows down the clan, basically?
Oh, yes.
And she's holding his unborn baby. This, to me, this is how I interpreted it, was that he had gotten shot by the clan, and he was just going to bleed out and then die to the vampires, and then the next day he was going to be with his loved ones for the rest of time. Because that was the whole... I don't know if that's how you interpreted it, but...
I just took it as him dying and being able to be with his loved ones, and he was, like, free in that sense, versus... Because, like, he doesn't get turned, so... I think he just went out guns a-blazing, which was badass, killed a bunch of KKK dudes, and then, was able to be with his family in the next life.
Yes, but they indicate that the vampires would always just come back at night?
Well, because that's the thing. I think most of the vampires died when the sunlight came. It was just kind of Stack and Mary who got out, which is why they're DJ Stack now. Okay.
All right. Yeah, maybe I misinterpreted that, but they made a huge point to show the girlfriend or fiance. I don't even know what the extent of that relationship was, and the unborn child. So I just figured that he was going through a mental hurdle of trying to figure out if he should kill himself and be with her or not.
No, I think he died from the bullet wound. But it was just him, like, again, that sense of, like, being free, not having to live an eternal life as a vampire without them. He just got to move on to the next life with them.
Okay. All right. Let's score it, and then I've got a lot to talk about this because I do think we're going to be a little variant here.
Oh, okay.
So entertainment, I went 7-7.
Entertainment, I went 7-0.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Characters, I went 8-0.
Characters, I went 9-0.
Cinematography, I went 9-1.
Cinematography, I went 9-5.
And writing, I went 8.3.
Writing, I went 8-0.
All right, we're actually very in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. I thought this movie was a little bit overrated, and I do think it was very good. That doesn't mean I think it was bad at all. I like 7.7 is a very good entertainment score, but it did not have the juice, at least for me, that Warfare did. I thought Warfare was definitely a better movie than this, and maybe that's why I kind of had a bias towards it because all I'm hearing, it's all anybody's talking about is how good this movie is. And yeah, it is good. I think the plot is very original. We haven't really seen a vampire plot in Jim Crow South or in the Jim Crow South. And that whole aspect was interesting. I mean, they created this whole moral dilemma of what is harder to do, live in the Jim Crow era in the South or be a vampire for the rest of your life and be dead. And that was like sort of the quabble that these characters were going through. And yeah, I get it. I mean, it's a very original movie. I thought it was really well acted. That hence my high character score. Like Michael B. Jordan convinced me that he had a twin in this role.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect them to show up. Like obviously, I watched the trailer. I just didn't expect him to be a twin right out of the gate. And they really like let you marinate in the first scene when they're just kind of hanging on the hood of their car. And it sort of told me like, holy shit, they're gonna be doing this for a while. Like it's not just gonna be one or two scenes here where he's pretending to talk to himself. And I
Dude,
thought that was really cool.
I was talking about it right when walking out the theater. I had heard so many things of like, oh, you can't even tell that Michael B. Jordan is playing two different characters. Like it seems like two separate characters completely, or two separate people completely. And I was like, we'll see. Like, we'll see if Michael B. Jordan can pull that off. He fucking does pull it off really,
Yeah.
really well. Like this, you know, they're twins, so it like makes sense they look like each other. Hence Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan, but the little nuances in each of the characters really separates them, and you know who Smoke is, you know who Stack is, and all credit to Michael B. Jordan for completely acting his ass off.
Yeah, and credit to the writing too for not making them so wish-washy in terms of who is who.
Yeah.
Like clearly, honestly, the names I mixed up because I just knew they were the Smokestack twins, but I believe Stack was the one that died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like
Turned into a vampire.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the crazier one. He has like a grill in like the 30s with the fedora or the top hat.
And the grill looks sick with his vampire teeth. I'm not even gonna hate. Like,
Yeah,
that
it
was
did
dope.
look pretty cool. And the other guys, so Smoke is a lot more even keeled. He's very on point. I don't think he does drugs all they do is drink, but I don't think he does that. I think he's just very on point. He doesn't like being shorted any money. And this
He
whole
also smokes.
yeah, he does. Okay, so he does smoke tobacco, but obviously that's going to keep you on edge more than anything. It's not going to hinder his his motor skills in any way. He just always wants to be like on point and ready to go.
He's a soldier in that sense, which they reference like a lot of times throughout the movie. I mean, even when he's like 1v20ing the KKK members, like he's just like he's got a mission in mind and he's going to complete it.
Okay, so here's another question I want to pose for you because this is maybe where I had a bit of disconnect with this movie. Why did the vampires show up? One, and two, why did they pick Preacher Boy as their beginning target? If that makes sense.
So, for one, I think the vampires just showed up like I think it's meant to be in a universe and world where vampires are alive and people know about them. Like that Indian tribe that first comes to that KKK couple's house,
Yeah.
looking for him. Like they clearly know they're hunting some sort of demonic creature or a vampire in this sense. And that vampire was running away from them. I think the reason why the vampires chose Preacher Boy was because that whole discussion that he has with his father, where he's like, music can kind of blend realities or blend different universes and bring the great out in people, but also bring the devil out. And I think the vampire was just like kind of hooked onto that noise, and it just like drew him into that whole place where he could eventually wreak havoc. I feel
Okay.
like I was going through some Reddit threads, and there were definitely some other themes that people were picking up on where it's like, kind of the heart of music and rock and roll is birthed from like blues music. So that there's another layer there where it's like, here come these white vampires trying to snatch that sound away and use it for themselves. But whatever it was, I know it sounded good, so I'm sure the vampire fucking wanted some of that.
Yeah, no, there was definitely a racial element to this movie for sure, and I do think it really had to do a lot with the idea, like I mentioned before, if you want to be a vampire or do you want to try and, toughen this whole thing out and just live in the South. So I interpreted it as Preacher Boy was the most innocent of that whole group, and then obviously he does commit like a really ghastly sin by like hooking up with this married woman during the height of all his music. So I thought that was sort of to symbolize, the sinning that he does, because he is like a really pure soul. Like he comes in, he's like pretty naive to what the Smokestack Twins are doing. Like he kind of knows that they have like this reputation of gangsters or whatnot. And obviously the Smokestack Twins represent sinners. Haley Steinfeld represents sinners because she's out here trying to cheat on her husband with Stack. And then
I mean, but can you blame her though? It's Michael B. Jordan, right?
no, yeah, I can if I'm Josh Allen, but that's a whole different conversation. But I don't know, man. I think the other characters were all supposed to have somewhat of flaws, and obviously Preacher Boy is the most musically talented person we see, aside from Slim, who I thought was a great character with the harmonica. He was a very
And on the
funny
keys
character.
too.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. But again, he's just abusing alcohol every day, so he's a sinner, and that's sort of where that's kind of how I conceptualized it. But the thing I couldn't really figure out was Smoke's girl, the one who dies at the end and is holding his baby. She didn't really seem to have many character flaws in that I could point out. So I don't know. That part to me was just a little unclear because the vampires were so hell bent on attacking Preacher Boy. It seemed like at least that's what they said. They said how his sound brought them together. And then we had this whole spiel at the beginning of the movie where the narrator just says how music can basically bring out the good and the evil, like you mentioned. I actually looked at this movie from the beginning and just thought it was like very supernatural out of the gate. So when the vampires first showed up, I was just kind of watching the movie expecting it to be fantasy the whole time. Whereas it was really just realistic fiction, and they were just trying to open up this juke joint. And I kind of had the inclination that the Smokestack Twins understood that whole concept, and they had no idea. Like the first time they see the vampires, they're just as clueless as the audience is. So
Oh yeah. When
yeah.
everyone sees the vampires. Besides that like Native American posse that was hunting him.
yeah, so I will add some other positive notes. So I guess that's the reason why I just thought it was that part was a little confusing, and overall, like, this movie does have a lot of dialogue, and I thought it was pretty good, honestly. I want to rewatch it with subtitles, to be honest, because I keep saying honest, but
Dude,
Michael B. Jordan's
my
accent was
first-
sick.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that
no.
part was a little hard to understand, but I loved how it sounded, and I think it brought out all those southern draws. Just brought out a lot of, just made the movie feel pretty cool, like retro. If
Yeah.
maybe that's not the right word, but
No, for sure. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I've just been spoiled with streaming services. I think we all have, so I watch everything with subtitles. And even like right at the start of the movie, I was like, where the fuck are the subtitles at? But yeah, no, I definitely would probably rewatch it if it comes out to streaming. But as you were saying at the start, this movie was definitely a little overhyped for me. Not to take away from it at all. I think it was a fantastic movie, but again, it's just not really my genre. I don't really care for supernatural movies. I mean, we talked about this in that one fucking where Nicolas Cage plays like an albino serial killer.
Long legs, yeah.
Long legs, yes. When it went down that supernatural rabbit hole, I kind of tuned out of this. Luckily for this movie, I knew it was about vampires, so I went into it with a level head. But again, the way people had been talking about it, I thought this was gonna change my view on movies forever. But
It didn't.
yeah,
Definitely
no,
didn't.
it was a good movie, but I personally am not a fan of supernatural horror-esque movies. So it's a good movie to watch, but didn't really hit home for me like it did a lot of other people.
I'm gonna say one really positive thing and one negative thing about this movie.
Alright.
Which one do you want me to deal with first?
Go positive first.
So I thought the set design in this movie was top tier in terms of the vehicles they have, the town settings, and just like the overall shots that they had, and like obviously that close up of Michael B. Jordan holding, I think it's Preacher Boy, and looking at the fire, and he's like freaked out. Like there are some still images from this movie that will be used by Hollywood for the rest of time, and visually I thought it was phenomenal. The negative, I'm just gonna knack the writing again. I thought the latter half of this movie was just so predictable. The vampires clearly, like, they figure out that the vampires can't be let into their house, or they can't get in unless they let them in. And at the very end, the Asian woman lets them all in. Obviously, like, you know that they're gonna probably kill most of them. I should have just seen Michael B. Jordan's twin dying. I say his twin. I should have seen one of them dying in the beginning of the movie. They actually do a good job of this. It goes back to the cinematography. In the very first scene, one of them's wearing red, I think it's Stack, and one of them's wearing blue.
Yeah.
Obviously, to symbolize like good and evil or whatever, the devil. So Stack obviously turns, and I should have seen that coming, because why else would they have two Michael B. Jordans in a movie like this? But I didn't see that, so that wasn't predictable. Other than that, though, like, Haley Steinfeld's predictable. What do we think is going to happen when she just comes into the bar and like goes in the back room with him? Like that didn't shock me at all. Didn't shock me at all when when Michael B. Jordan turned. Didn't shock me at all when the big guy, what was his name? Like Muffin or
it was like cornbread.
Cornbread. Yeah, he turns like
It's crazy.
None of the characters were. I knew it was some sort of pastry. None of the characters were. After that point, like, we all could tell who was infected, or I've been watching way too much of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
We could all tell who had turned, and I just didn't really think it had that element that it needed at the very end to make you snap out of it. We also saw Preacher Boy show up at his dad's sermon at the very beginning of the movie, so I knew Preacher Boy was going to be fine, and I just guessed that one of the Michael B. Jordans would be fine, or the guy, or excuse me, Smoke. I just figured he'd be okay at the very end.
This is really tripping you up.
I don't know. Maybe I'm off there, but a lot of from the point where the vampires get Haley Steinfeld, the rest of the movie is all pretty like whatever. Did you think the KKK was going to take down Michael B. Jordan at the end? Hell no,
not
bro.
at all.
He was going to destroy them. Like,
Yeah.
it looked cool, sure, but it wasn't like a gunfight where I was actually worried the character would get hurt. Yeah. So I think that's what it just took a little bit away from me. Overall, it was a good movie. It's just not. It is getting way too overrated, in my opinion, from what I've seen online.
No, I would agree with those takes. I have a few positives and then maybe like one negative that kind of align with you. A couple of the positives, though. I mean, Michael B. Jordan, right? Mm-hmm. You got a couple sex scenes with him. Haley Steinfeld spitting in his mouth. I mean, what more?
Yeah.
What more could an audience want from that?
Yeah, sign me up for that.
Which part?
All of it. Watch that with subtitles later.
No, a couple other like serious positives though. The music in this movie was insane. Like there's a couple times where I watch a movie where it's not my typical song genre choice, and I'm like, wait, I want to know more about that. Because I mean, I typically listen to I mean, my Spotify top 5 rap was like
You could just
Future.
say it. You don't listen to blues. I don't listen to the blues either.
No, I listen to like Future and Young Boy.
Yeah.
But there's a couple movies like that. Whiplash and La La Land made me want to look into jazz, and now Sinners has gotten me interested in blues music. Like hearing Preacher Boy sing his songs was insane, especially the one in the juke joint where it's about him like lying to his father and like just
Yeah.
loving to be free and playing music. Like that shit was sick, and I could like feel the pain and behind his voice and all that. So the music was fantastic. Again, going back to Michael B. Jordan, but the acting was fantastic in this. Everyone showed up. Every role was perfect. Those vampires were so fucking creepy. That little triplet they had.
Yeah.
They were like doing a barbershop quartet outside or triplet outside. I was like, why is Haley Steinfeld not walking up and shooting each of them in the
Yeah.
head? Because they are creepy as fuck. But then one kind of negative about it, again, this just wasn't my genre of film. I like more like real pieces without the whole supernatural element, and I like thrillers like Gone Girl and Prisoner. But the ending did kind of get me a little bit. It was just like a little cheesy, especially in the sense like, look, I have no problem with Michael B. Jordan mowing down racist motherfuckers, but like it was like 20 people against him, and he was just like walking out in the open. He like
Yeah.
snipes like 3 of them from the bushes and then just walks out mowing them down, and you're telling me one person gets a shot off on him? But at the
was
same time, like, who the fuck cares, right? He's killing
Yeah.
KKK dudes.
Yeah.
And when he mowed down the fat dude, the Hogwood guy, at the end just sprays him with the Tommy gun, I was like, fuck yeah. Because I thought he was going to die before that. I was like, hell no.
Oh, I didn't think he was going to die at all. And I think that's just where the latter stage of the movie was okay to me. It's satisfying, I guess, in some sense. I just think the overall mesh of the characters was good, but it sort of seemed like a whole walk through the past. The twins were coming back to their town. They had like one scene with all of these other characters that they ended up hiring to work at their juke joint. And I didn't get super connected to any of them aside from Preacher Boy, because Preacher Boy is there and they give him a lot more depth. Haley Steinfeld was good, but she was just some girl in Smoke's life that he didn't want to bring the mob life to. And it was kind of the same type of deal with all of these characters where we had one little interaction with them, and then at the end they're all getting turned and it's like so sad and everything, but I only knew them for 10 minutes of screen time. Like I wasn't that sad really when Stack turned, honestly, because I thought it would probably happen after the fact, I don't know. It
I
just
mean, I
didn't-
definitely
think
had
the
a
characters
feeling
didn't
one of the
resonate
twins
that well.
was.
I should not have. I definitely should have seen that coming, but I just think there might have been a little too many characters in here, or they should have given a little more time to the depth. Like Smoke's whole relationship with his girl. He literally just goes to her house. They get in like an argumentative flirting session, and then they bang, and then she dies, and like she literally is like doing one thing at the bar, and then she's dead. It's kind of like, I get it. I get that's his love interest, but
I mean, she also told them all about vampires, though.
yeah. I don't know, man. I think they could have just used a little more build up, in my opinion. There was a ton of talking in this movie too, and it was more so just them talking about what they were doing in Chicago. And I think to a certain extent we understood it. They were gangsters in Chicago, and now they're not in Chicago. And
they robbed someone for the money.
Right. And it was kind of just nailed on the head a little too many times for me, where I didn't need to hear it over and over. Like they're dressing in suspenders and like the Al Capone hats and really nice clothes, and they have machine guns. Like everybody knows they're gangsters at a certain point. So I'm probably just being a hater.
You're definitely being a hater, bro.
Yeah. But overall, I'm not. I mean, we gave this an 8.3 out of 10. Our scale is obviously includes entertainment, characters, cinematography, and writing. It's all mismatched or mix and match together. So this actually is what, point 0.4 lower than our Warfare score, which I think is pretty fair. I think the entertainment scores we had for Warfare probably beat this by a whole like 2 points or something like that. I think you had like a 9.5 or something off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So
Again, that's kind of more my pace of film. Like I enjoy seeing that shit and being on the edge of my seat, being anxiety filled the whole time. This was a great watch, but it just wasn't. It didn't live up to the hype for me. But again, maybe that's just my personal like bias.
From a like typecast stand or point of view, I would categorize this movie as a like artsy, visually stunning movie that obviously like the film critics are gonna love this thing. Like this is gonna be up for a lot of Oscars, I'm sure. Whereas Warfare definitely has more of that butt clenching, like what the fuck just happened, which I think is a more engaging product in my opinion. Not that again, Sinners is not bad. It's just I didn't think it was like an elite entertainment movie, if that makes sense. So for those of you out there that don't like movies that have a lot of talking and maybe not trying to go to the theater and see something like that, Sinners might not be for you, but I would still recommend going to see it because I do think it's like a really original piece of work. And obviously there are other people out there that like really fuck with movies like that. So obviously like that would be something to go watch.
Yeah, no, I would definitely recommend Sinners to anyone and everyone. But, like, again, it's just not one of my favorite films that I've seen. And
Yeah.
I saw just so much hype into this. I was going into it like it was going to be, I don't know, Interstellar level or something like that. But, I mean, who knows? It might be.
Yeah, it might be for some people, but not for us. We gave it an 8.3 out of 10. And that's going to do it for this episode of Ripe Avocados, unless you have anything else to add.
I was just going to say, Michael B. Jordan, again, I've talked about this now multiple times here today, but his acting was just incredible. And it reminded me a lot of that movie Legend with Tom Hardy, where he plays the McRae twins. And again, in that movie too, like the little subtleties within both the twins is perfectly done in this movie Sinners. Like I can't tip my hat more to Michael B. Jordan. I would have never. I think he's like a great action star, and he's just like he killed it as Killmonger. He's funny too. He killed it in Chronicle. He killed it in that movie with Zac Efron and Miles Teller. But like
Creed.
But like this movie, like I saw him in a different light.
Yeah, he'll be up for probably the best actor for this, and rightfully so. I mean, he literally plays two characters, and they're very hard to distinguish between, or they're easy to distinguish between the two. So, yeah. So go see Sinners, or don't if it's not your cup of tea, but definitely check out Ripe Avocados again next Tuesday. We'll be back with another one, and until then, peace out.
Deuces.